Lake George Battlefield Moments, a production of Lake George Battlefield Park Alliance, preserving our area's incredible history. Here's the president of Lake George Battlefield Park Alliance, John DeNuzzo.
Welcome to Lake George Battlefield Moments. This is John DeNuzzo of the Lake George Battlefield Park Alliance Board of Trustees, joined by Bruce Venter of the Board of Trustees. Welcome, Bruce.
Thank you.
Well, we've gotten through the Christmas holiday, and people are probably trying to figure out what to purchase with the gift cards they received, or maybe they just want to go out and get some excellent books over the winter months. So, Bruce, let's talk about some of the current 18th century history books that you've encountered and any recommendations. One in particular stand out in your mind?
Well, I got one that is hot off the press. It's called The Killing of Jane McCrae by Paul Stoddy, who is a professor over at Mount Holyoke College. And the subtitle is An American Tragedy on the Revolutionary Frontier. And for folks that are listening to this podcast, I'm sure they're familiar with the Saratoga campaign and the murder of poor Jane McCrae. She became a focal point of the campaign and also was much written about after the war by historians who saw her as a linchpin in the happenings in July, August, and September of 1777. So this book just came out. In fact, I have the advanced reader's copy, which Bruce Franklin sent me. Bruce is the publisher at Westholme. He was pitched this book. He published it, and it is now out. As a matter of fact, Bruce just sent me today an email that it was reviewed by the Wall Street Journal.
Wow.
Today, it got a rave review. So those of you who have access to the Wall Street Journal online, or you want to pick up a copy, go read the book review of this book, The Killing of Jane McCrae. I think you'll find it worthwhile. This topic has not been done in a long time, and so it's kind of overdue. What's unique about Paul's approach is that he is an art historian. So, Jane McCrae has evolved over the years in terms of art, where her hair is originally described as being raven black, and now it's, it could be anywhere from red to blonde or whatever color in between. So it should be an interesting read for people. And I would recommend this book.
Well, obviously,
as a matter of fact, I already have Paul lined up to speak at the Turning Point Women in War Symposium on May the 2nd. He's agreed to come and talk about the book. So for those of you, get the book and then be ready for your questions and answers.
Well, excellent. I mean, that's obviously in our backyard here in the North Country. I think anyone who has traveled through Washington County and even parts of Saratoga County recognize there are several historical markers along Route 4 and other roads that talk of where Jane McCrae was originally buried, where she's currently buried, where she's interred in a cemetery and so forth. Do you know much, other than his being an art historian, do you know much about the author? Has he published other history-oriented books?
He did a book on Trumbull, the artist from the Revolutionary War, and I heard him speak at Fort Ticonderoga. So he's a very good speaker, and I think that and his other book was good. He also did a book on Samuel F.B. Morse. So, the Trumbull book was called Of Arms and Artists, The American Revolution Through Painters' Eyes. That's what I know of him.
All right. One thing, I mentioned this to you yesterday on the phone, Bruce. I'm currently reading a book called Pride and Pleasure, the story of two of the Schuyler sisters, two of Philip Schuyler's daughters, one of whom married Alexander Hamilton and the other who married a ne'er-do-well, or we might call him in modern days a BS artist, who fraudulently represented himself at the time of his marriage, and ultimately there's a lot of adventures with him and some mystery or romantic mystery in the book as well about Schuyler being flirtatious with his sister-in-law, Eliza. it's interesting. The history in it is a little bit sketchy, actually, in terms of the accuracy. Again, with the local interest of Philip Schuyler and the Schuyler sisters and so forth, it's something that intrigued me. The author of that is Amanda Vale. She's appeared a few places in the area. She resides in New York City, so chances are she may be popping up in the Albany or Saratoga or Lake George area in the future again. What else you got, Bruce? Anything else you think is particularly
well?
I got
another book. I got another book that just came out.
Are you printing them at home, or what are you doing with these?
I should. No, it's one of the fellows that I know very well. Alex Portal has a new book out called Henry Knox's Noble Train. And I guess it's characterized as what they call these days graphic novels, which in my day, in your day, it would have been called a comic book. So it's one of those illustrated books that has, the bubble dialogue with the characters that are created within the book. And Alex wrote the dialogue for the book, and he is a cartoonist, although his day job is a reporter for the Post-Star in Glens Falls. And I just picked up this book on Friday evening, and it has a very attractive price of $9.95. And so it would be for anyone who has grandchildren or children. I think even kids up in high school are reading these books these days. And so if you want to get something to encourage a young person to start to understand our America's history and start to understand why the revolution is important and some of the heroic deeds that went on, just as we tried to recreate them this past weekend at the Knox festivities, it's something that you should pick up. And in fact, the color is illustrated with draft horses. And when we had the celebration on the 12th, 13th, and 14th, the Knox committee used draft horses. And so you can readily see this on the cover. And it's available at Barnes & Noble. I already looked that up. And it also is at the Warren County Historical Society, the Schuyler Mansion, Fort Ticonderoga. So if you can't find it on Amazon yet, you certainly can pick it up locally. And it's worthwhile. Pick up several copies and give them to young people who would benefit from understanding the story of Henry Knox. And I know that Alex had it vetted. His narrative was vetted by historians and what have you before it was printed. Yeah,
and in fact, my 3 grandchildren each received a copy of that book for
Wonderful.
Christmas. The 9-year-old immediately embraced it. They're all smart kids, but he immediately embraced it. He's my immediate hope for a history-oriented grandchild. The other 2 are a little bit young. They're 7 and 6. But
okay,
they've got it. At least they can look at the pictures. That's a nice thing about a comic book, that they can look at those and be intrigued if the dialogue doesn't get it for them. So, okay, I think we got room for one more. Bruce, you have any other suggestions?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've got one. It's a little bit further from our area, but not that far. It's within an hour and a half drive. It's called Defending Fort Stanwix, a story of the New York frontier in the American Revolution by William L. Kidder. And we all call him Larry Kidder. That's what he goes by. He has this fairly new book. I think it came out last year. It has won the Washington, D.C. Roundtable Award, conferred at our Conference on the American Revolution last year in Virginia. And it was a runner-up for the James Kirby Martin Book Prize, which was awarded by the Fort Plain Museum a few months ago. So Larry's book has been well received. He's a very good writer. He's written on Trenton and Princeton previously, and this book was published by Cornell University Press, but it's still readable. It's not one of those academic tomes that it's hard to wade through. Anyway, Larry did a good job on this book, and it's been well received. So I would commend that book to Larry. I liked it a lot.
Excellent. I read it as well, and it is a very good turn, and certainly the role that Fort Stanwix played in the whole Burgoyne campaign to get down to Albany and to meet St. Ledger and hopefully Howe at Albany never came to fruition, but this is a key part of it, the battle at Fort Stanwix. I would just add, out of a sense of obligation, after we had such a wonderful experience with Rick Atkinson being here a few weeks ago, his number one best-selling book is still out there, still available for those who did not get it when you're at Lake George earlier this month. The Fate of the Day, which kind of takes us to the second of his expected trilogy on the Revolution. Highly recommended, and again, it's gotten kudos universally, literally around the globe, including one of our visitors from Canada who came to the events on December the 12th, specifically to hear Rick, to meet Rick, and to get that book. So there's a lot out there, folks, and we're great readers, we history lovers. There's a lot of good things out there to read. Thank you, Bruce. I hope you can stay warm in balmy Virginia.
Not a problem.
Okay. And we'll talk to you again next week. Thank you for being a part of our history. Our website is lakegeorgebattlefield.org. Thanks, everyone.
Lake George Battlefield Moments, a production of Lake George Battlefield Park Alliance, preserving our area's incredible history. For more information or to check out the latest podcast, go to lakegeorgebattlefield.org. And listen live on Saturday mornings to Lake George Battlefield Moments on 93.5 Lake FM.